Formula One has seen its fair share of rule changes, and more often than not, the ink on those pages is stained with chaos, controversy, and sadly, tragedy. This is the brutal truth about Formula One and the drivers that forced the rules to change.
That was mega.
Let's start with Max Verstappen, because honestly, how could we not? When he arrived in 2015, he was just 17 years old, couldn't rent a car in half the world, couldn't legally drink in most countries, but here he was, racing wheel to wheel at 200 miles an hour with grown men who'd been in the game longer than he'd been alive. And straight away he was brilliant. Aggressive overtakes, impossible late braking, fearless wheel-to-wheel combat. He wasn't just making history, he was rewriting it. Verstappen became the youngest driver to compete in the sport's highest tier, and soon after became the youngest race winner. His meteoric rise stunned the racing world. Verstappen's aggressive style and constant willingness to test the limits of the regulations made him both exciting and controversial. But it also raised serious concerns among veteran drivers.
You locked up and then just turned in very sharp.
It's just backing me off into Ricciardo.
The result? The FIA created the Super License points system. You now need a minimum tally of points across junior categories to even qualify for Formula One. Translation: no more teenagers parachuting straight into the big leagues. Max was the last of his kind, the teenager who broke the system, and he didn't stop there. Fast forward to the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, one of the most controversial races in F1 history. In the closing laps, under the safety car, Verstappen positioned his car directly alongside the safety car, ready to accelerate the moment it peeled off. It was audacious, it was borderline cheeky, and it confused just about everyone else on track. The FIA later clarified and updated its regulations, forbidding cars from driving alongside the safety car before a restart. Even Verstappen's celebrations sparked rule adjustments. After winning the 2021 Styrian Grand Prix, Verstappen performed a burnout at the finish line. Cool? Yes. Safe? Absolutely not. The FIA quickly banned celebratory burnouts near the checkered flag, but Max wasn't the only driver to shake up the FIA. Up next, we're going to unpack a lifetime of shocking F1 rule changes in a matter of minutes. So, don't go anywhere. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Ayrton Senna and the point system debacle. Before the 1990s, Formula One had an unusual scoring rule. Only a driver's 11 best results counted toward the championship standings. For decades, no one questioned it, until it dramatically altered the outcome of the 1988 season. That year, Alain Prost delivered an extraordinary performance. Driving for McLaren, Prost finished first or second in nearly every race he completed, amassing 105 points, the highest total anyone had achieved at the time. His teammate, Ayrton Senna, had an incredible season too, winning more races but finishing with only 94 points overall. By any logical measure, Prost should have been the champion. However, because of the best 11 results rule, Prost's consistent high finishes didn't matter as much as Senna's outright wins. Senna was declared world champion despite Prost scoring more points overall. The decision sparked outrage among fans and experts who argued that the championship should reward the driver with the most points, not the one who fit best into an outdated system. The backlash was so intense that the FIA eventually scrapped the rule, and by 1991, Formula One officially moved to the system we know today. Every point counts across the entire season. Senna's championship win in 1988 remains one of the most debated titles in F1 history, and a turning point for how championships are calculated. So next time you see a driver collect a single point for P10 and celebrate like it's Christmas morning thanks Senna and Prost, they made those points mean something. Jules Bianchi, the tragedy that changed safety forever. Not every change comes from glory. Some come from heartbreak. Jules Bianchi's story is one of the most tragic in modern F1 history, and a stark reminder of the dangers of motorsport. Jules wasn't just another driver. He was tipped as Ferrari's future. A calm, composed talent with a devastating turn of speed. But in 2014 at Suzuka, fate intervened. Heavy rain, poor visibility, cars aquaplaning all over the circuit. Adrian Sutil crashes. A recovery vehicle is sent out, and then the unthinkable. On lap 43, Bianchi loses control, slides off at the same corner, and collides directly with that recovery vehicle. The impact is catastrophic. He suffers severe head injuries. He fights for months, but tragically passes away in 2015. The first F1 race, weekend fatality in over 2 decades. The sport was shaken to its core. Something had to change, and it did. From Bianchi's death came the virtual safety car, designed to neutralize the field instantly when marshals or recovery vehicles are on track. No more racing at speed through dangerous conditions, and then came the halo. Initially hated, called ugly, branded as ruining the look of F1 cars. But when Romain Grosjean climbed out of a fireball in 2020 at Bahrain, and when Lewis Hamilton survived a car landing on his head in Monza 2021, the halo went from ugly to essential. Bianchi didn't get the chance to live out his dream, but he made the sport safer for everyone who came after him. His legacy is written not in wins or podiums, but in the survival of others. Niki Lauda and the Nürburgring Inferno. If Bianchi's accident was modern F1's wake-up call, Niki Lauda's was the sport's original nightmare. In 1976, Lauda was at the peak of his career when the German Grand Prix was scheduled at the notoriously dangerous Nürburgring Nordschleife. Lauda, concerned about the track's safety, its length, lack of barriers and slow emergency response, attempted to organise a boycott. Unfortunately, not enough drivers agreed, and Lauda felt pressured to race despite his fears. On the second lap, Lauda lost control, crashed into a barrier, and his car erupted into flames. Trapped in the burning wreckage, Lauda was saved by fellow drivers who stopped to help. He miraculously survived, but suffered severe burns and lung damage, requiring multiple surgeries. The FIA could no longer pretend. The Nordschleife was done. The German Grand Prix was moved to Hockenheim, and from then on, track safety became paramount. Fences, barriers, medical response, all tightened. Lauda's accident forced F1 to admit what everyone knew. Speed is thrilling, but safety cannot be optional. Crashgate, the darkest scandal. Now, let's talk about a different kind of disaster. One that wasn't an accident, but a scandal. Singapore 2008, Renault, Nelson Piquet Jr. Here's what happened. Piquet Jr. crashes deliberately on team orders. A safety car comes out. Fernando Alonso, his teammate, who had just pitted, suddenly has the advantage. He wins the race. Nobody suspects a thing until the following year, when Piquet, after being dropped by Renault, spills the beans. The fallout, nuclear. Flavio Briatore, banned for life. Pat Simons, banned for 5 years. Renault slapped with a suspended ban, and Felipe Massa. He's still bitter to this day, because had that race played out fairly, he might have won the 2008 championship instead of losing to Lewis Hamilton by a single point. Crashgate forced the FIA to crack down hard on race manipulation. Deliberate crashes, intentional cheating, orchestrated outcomes. It was all now codified as unforgivable. Formula One, already obsessed with optics, realised it couldn't survive another scandal like that. Team orders, Austria 2002. Another rule change came after a moment that angered fans worldwide. At the 2002 Austrian Grand Prix, Rubens Barrichello led the race comfortably for Ferrari. But with only meters to go, Ferrari instructed him to let Michael Schumacher pass for the win. Barrichello reluctantly obeyed at the last moment, handing Schumacher victory in humiliating fashion. The podium ceremony only made things worse. Schumacher awkwardly pulled Barrichello to the top step and gave him the winner's trophy, making the whole event even more controversial. Although team orders were technically legal at the time, fans saw this as a blatant manipulation of the sport. The FIA had no choice but to act. Team orders that interfere with the natural result of the race were banned. Of course, years later, they quietly lifted the ban, because teams always find ways to prioritize their chosen driver, but the embarrassment of Austria 2002 lingers. Lewis Hamilton, jewelry, porpoising and influence. And finally, let's talk about Lewis Hamilton, one of the most successful F1 drivers in history. Because even off the track, he's been rewriting the rules. Before the 2023 season, the FIA suddenly decided jewelry bans would be enforced. No necklaces, no piercings, nothing. Hamilton, never one to shy away from a statement, refused. Some piercings, he said, couldn't even be removed. Was the FIA really going to sideline the 7-time world champion over earrings? In the end, common sense prevailed. Exemptions were granted. The rule remains, but enforcement, flexible. And then there's porpoising. Ah, yes, the bouncing. Hamilton also influenced technical regulations. The 2022 ground effect cars were supposed to be the future. Instead, they turned into pogo sticks on straights. Drivers complained, but Hamilton, visibly in pain, made headlines. This isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. The FIA listened. For 2023, rules were tweaked. Car floors stiffened, ride heights adjusted, porpoising reduced. Hamilton's voice carried weight. Love him or hate him, you can't deny it. He's not just shaped the sport with results, he's shaped the rule book with his words. From daring teenagers to tragic accidents, from deliberate cheating to fashion statements, Formula One has evolved not just because of technology, but because of the drivers who pushed boundaries, sometimes too far. Every major change in the rulebook tells a story of ambition, rivalry, controversy, or tragedy. And as the sport continues to grow, one thing is certain: the actions of its stars will keep shaping its future.